Three. We are live already. Rodin, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Victor. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Hey, just before we get started, just want to introduce you and remind people Metropolitan is always here trying to find cool people doing fascinating things here in Barcelona. And I love that. I love the sector that you're in and what you're doing. I've never heard of a company doing what you do. So not only that, I figure you're kind of like an industry disruptor, and it's a very unique sector to be in. Rodin, before I misintroduce what it is that Studies In does, can you please introduce yourself for like 10 seconds and then also what Studies In does?
Yes, definitely. My name is Rodin. I'm from Holland, actually Amsterdam, and I'm living in Barcelona now already for, let's say, 6 years now. Time is flying. I'm having fun here. It's like a lot of people, when you move to Barcelona, you think you stay for just a little bit, and then all of a sudden you are 6 years further. I started my company 5 years ago together with my co-founder, which I met in a Spanish school here in the EU Business School. And that's also a little bit what we started to do. So Studies In is what we do is we develop the technology for students from all over the world to find the perfect university. And as of now, you're on Spain. So we have like a product market fit here in Spain. Because what happened actually, Victor, was like I don't know if you did you ever study abroad, Victor?
No, I wanted to, but I did not end up doing that.
Okay. So like if you look a little bit at the journey of people going abroad, first of all, you look like which universities or especially which interest would you like to go for? Meaning like would you like to go become a doctor or computer science? And then the second option would be you're going to look at which countries are available. Now, most of the markets are looking at the US, where you are from, or the UK. Why do they go there? Is because, yeah, English speaking, and also since still there's a big stigma around prestigious American universities. However, luckily for us, that stigma is slowly fading a little bit because the universities in America, they are so extremely expensive, and nowadays it's more common that you find out like, okay, what do you want to obtain from a university? Now, first of all, you want to have a lot of knowledge. Second of all, a accredited degree, and then thirdly, and this is why some people pay instead of 10,000 euros, 100,000 euros, great connections. And for that reason, a lot of people still go abroad. But what I see now more and more is that the degree which you can obtain in the US or the UK, you can also obtain in, let's say, Spain for 1/10 of the price. And what
Wow.
we see, yeah.
And so let me ask you this: how did you come up then with the EdTech platform of Studies In?
Yeah, so what eventually was the problem, that's actually where I wanted to go, is so Thomas and I, we didn't know each other yet. So Thomas is my co-founder, and we just wanted to study abroad. And what we wanted to do is something with entrepreneurship. So we
Right.
started
Okay.
Googling. We started Googling, and we found a few universities. One was in the UK, extremely expensive. It was a little bit out of our budget. However, we started Googling a little bit closer to home, and we found something in Barcelona. We went on the website on the EU Business School, and it looked extremely prestige. It's like also with all the accreditations and the beautiful pictures, and we thought like, okay, this is a great school for us. So in the end, it was also not cheap. I paid a lot, 20,000 euros. The reason why I'm saying this is because for that same money in Spain, you now for a similar degree or even better in Spain, you sometimes only need to pay 5,000 or 2,000 euros, depending if you want to go to public or private. But what happened is we started our MBA, and sadly to say, Victor, we found out that people who had the money could get in, and we thought we studied at a prestigious university. But in the end, there were people in our class who barely spoke English. So we thought like, okay, we do something something, we just got accepted to a really prestigious school. Also, we made a beautiful, social media post about it. Wow, we are here. And then we found out that, I'm not saying that it's a scam, but there was just no control mechanism in between. So then we thought like, okay, we need to make a portal, or at least an information platform where people can compare universities, speak with, for example, already alumni who went to those universities, but most importantly, speak with a person who understands your use case, and then together with your parents or yourself, you can make an educated decision. Because as you see with me, I'm living here now for 6 years, and it's truly shaping my future. So that's the reason why we came up with it.
All right, that seems to roll perfectly into my next question. Is like the mission of Studies In, and how you want to transform the study abroad experience. And so tell me a little bit more about what your mission is then.
Yeah, so our mission is that we truly democratize international education. As I said a little bit before, we are able to help students sometimes with a budget of €1,000 per year, so tuition budget. And where normally students were not even considering to study abroad. So you look at the general cost to go, for example, to the UK or the US, you need at least €50,000 or even more if you want to study at a normal university. And what we are able to do, and that we're really proud of, is to help the students who would never been able to study abroad. And that is our mission as well. So we are want to focus on that 90% of students who has the aspiration, but was not able. And like that, we truly want to democratize certain markets. And we're now focusing on Spain. Next year, we roll out to Germany and to Holland, the markets which are not standardized yet. Because the US and the UK, they are more standardized in terms of the private university network. But we want to focus on the complex bureaucratic systems. Maybe, Victor, are you a little bit familiar with the educational systems in Spain?
Yes, very much so, because I've been here for a long time, and education is a major question, as you now know, for families who want to move here, where to put their kids into international schools, whether it's in high school. But then very quickly, if they want to study here for a longer term, they realize that the caliber of the universities here are actually very good, particularly vis-a-vis the price. And so we get a lot of questions in Metropolitan as well as at the American Society, figuring out, asking how people can apply to these schools, what they need to do, and wondering if there's actually a mistake in the marketing because it is so inexpensive compared to other places. So a little bit familiar, but I would never call myself an expert on the matter.
No, but that's exactly the thing. Like, there's just a huge knowledge gap. And what is also like, imagine you're a parent and you're used to tuition fees around, let's say, €40,000 per year for a bachelor or master program. And all of a sudden you go to Spain and your student or your son is able to study for €1,000. What is your first reaction? It's like, the education is shit, right? That is something what happens in your head. However, if you look at, for example, a public university here, the University of Barcelona, they are ranked in the top 100 in the world. But if you get in, and we can help you get in, you can study for €1,000 per year. However, to get in, that is another thing, and that's what I wanted to focus on, is it's some bureaucratic steps, meaning you need to validate your transcripts and so on. And also don't forget that the visa process is in the middle. And like that, a company like us breaks down the process in certain ways. And that's also the next question. Like here you see here the different process steps. Because studying abroad, in theory, sounds relatively simple. But if you're an 18-year-old student and you're from, let's say, LA, and you want to study in Europe, let's say Spain in this particular example, there most of the time, like, I think the most important thing is choosing the university. Now, we can help you with that. Then eventually you need to get accepted to the university. Now, for certain universities, especially the public ones, you need to do different entry exams. You need to validate and notarize all your documents. And eventually, what is for most students really important, maybe not for the Americans with their extremely strong passports, but let's say people also from more rural parts of the world, the visa process is extremely important. And if you don't start those processes in a systematic way, then let's say you have your acceptance letter from your university, but eventually you miss out certain deadlines on your visa, and then you still cannot study abroad. And the worst thing is, most of the time, is that people then eventually also lose heavy deposits they pay. So, for example, certain universities, they don't pay back the first tuition payments as guaranteed. Luckily, through us, since we have negotiation power, if you go through our platform and your visa gets rejected, most of the time you still get 90% of your prepaid money back. And like that, for students, it's way easier to make a decision to go to and let's say a bit more bureaucratic country than Spain, because sometimes the visa process can be tricky, but it's getting better. It's getting much better because Spain is also seeing how much talent there is needed to build a strong economy. And the expats make that most of the time possible with innovation and so on.
Well, that's fantastic. I told you also the other reason that I know a little bit about it is because I also had to put my daughters through school. Actually, my older daughter, she did this program with SADE in tourism, and I avoided most of that actually with my younger daughter because she got a 4-year ride to Edinburgh. So everything paid for her to go to study, and now she's getting her master's, her master's and doctorate degree in Edinburgh, but it's all 100% paid for. Yet the bureaucratic nightmare that is trying to set up for this is not only daunting, it makes sometimes people want to not go through it at all. So they start off, they get excited, and then they see the amount of forms that they have to fill out, the deadlines that have to be made, the tests that have to be taken, and then they just decide not to do it. Luckily, my daughter stayed with it and she got through. But it was much easier with an organization that, like yours, that helped to guide very carefully and helped us understand what we were getting up against. Okay. So let me ask you then, what is the 4-step process?
Yeah, so we developed exactly because of this, Victor. We help now over 6,000 students, and we conducted a lot of surveys. And one of the biggest doubts of students was that the process itself is lengthy. However, sometimes students cannot see the beginning and the end. So what we did now is we developed a 4-step program, and the 4 steps are explore, decide, apply, and then move. And the beauty of this is, like, the first step is explore. So you go to our platform, we have 12,000 courses in our database, and a person can just browse it themselves, and also with our AI course finder, they can see, is Spain something for me? Because there are a lot of options, and Spain is still a particular country in that regards. And if you see, for example, that Spain, the programs do not fit, no worries. Then let's focus your time better on a different platform who focuses, for example, the US or the UK. I don't know. If they know that, we can go to the next stage, and that is the decision-making process. And that is where we're really proud of. That is the academic orientation. And that happens on our platform. So based on the transcripts, and your preferences, you can upload that, then you get matched with a particular educational consultant specialized in your field. Because to get in, for example, into a medicine faculty in Spain, you need to know certain people. And we have experts in our network which purely focus, for example, on medicine study. And like that, we are holding currently, and I'm really proud of it, 96% acceptance rate, even in the top universities in Spain. So then when they go there through that decision-making process, our platform builds a study abroad plan where you recommend the 10 best options, that is in public or private. And then during a consultation, your study abroad expert, what they will do is explain you step by step. For example, if you want to study in the University of Barcelona, now then there are certain bureaucratic steps in between. No worries, we got you covered. We explain you clearly the timelines. For example, if you want to get into the university this year, then you need to start preparing for this particular prep course, or you need to start learning Spanish. And like that, we make it digestible. And therefore, students nowadays, they can way easier make a decision. In the end, when you make a decision on what you want to study, our student success team. So we have a student success team who help with the particular application process, meaning to get into a prestigious university, your documents need to be up, perfect, your CV. But also what is really important is eventually that you ace your interview. So your interview, like your access interview. So we have a team who helps you prep for that interview. And like that, it's way easier to get into prestigious universities and also business schools. And in the end, and that is an important part, it's great that you get accepted, but then the moment you get accepted, we directly start with your visa process and also your landing processes. Like Victor, you know what a nightmare it is to get your NIE, for example. That all happens on the platform. You get recommendations like, okay, you should now start with your NIE, because sometimes it can take up to months, and your accommodation. And like that, you can just focus on the important things, and that is eventually studying and making new connections.
Wow, so this is amazing support. I wish that I had known about this, years ago, and I can now start recommending you to different people who call us to talk to us about, how to get into a university. Just for avoidance of doubt, you're focusing right now on Spain. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
All right. So if somebody wants your services to go to the U.S. and the U.S. universities, that's not something that you're doing.
No. So it's about focus in this market. Like the reason why we can offer all universities in Spain, and we are the first to offer public also, it's only because you focus on one market. So it took us like approximately 3 years to master the business model, and we solidified it now. So we are now able to roll out to more countries. But to offer the services as deep as we do, it takes time. So there are a few competitors in the market, and they made a big mistake, and they focused right away on the world. But then you can only offer shallow information, generic information, and most of the time students can find it themselves. But we really go into the educational system and then break it apart and simplify it. And like that, we can help the student way better and quicker in that regard.
All right, so how does it work? If somebody calls me and says, hey, Victor, I want to know a little bit more about Spanish universities, how can I learn more? I can say, go to Studies In, and then at Studies In, how does the user sign up?
Yes, so you just go to our platform, it's studiesin.com, and then you fill out a questionnaire with 8 questions. Based on that, our database will automatically select an X amount of courses. So you go in the Explorer phase. You can find out then if Spain is something for you. And in your dashboard, you can book directly a call with an expert. That is an initial call, and it's a 15-minute free call. And there we're going to lay out for you, okay, is Spain something for you? We want to really understand the use case of the student and the background. And based on that, they can decide to eventually move to the decision phase. And then we present all the options and a complete framework, what to study, how to study. And that is how most students start off.
I see. Okay. And so as a company, you're growing quickly from what I understand. So tell me a little bit about the growth and what you guys are doing. What's next?
Yes. Okay. It's exciting times, especially as I would not say new. Yeah, we are new founders. We are now entrepreneurs for 5 years. An exciting journey, especially in Spain. We are now we broke even in that regards, so we can now focus on more ambitious plans, also to rolling out to different countries. But we're growing quickly. So last year we closed the year with 600K in revenue. This year we're gonna break the million. So we are good on track to make 1.1, 1.2 in revenues. And the nice thing is, like, Spain itself has still a lot of growth potentials, but we are now going into a market with the foundation we built, Germany. There's even more opportunities. And my co-founder, Tom Miesen, you hear it already a little bit in the name. He is German himself, so it's going to be a walk in the park. And the market afterwards is going to be Holland, and that's going to be my expertise. So we actually did already, we conquered with lots of success the most difficult market, Spain, and now we're going to play a home game. So what we are now trying to do, Victor, we are currently raising a round, an angel round. We already have 100K confirmed, so that's really nice. We are still looking for 150K, and also we have a VC on board who would match this whole investment. So if we now raise with angels 250K, they will add another 250K. But the best thing is, last week, and we are really proud of it, so we finished the #1 EdTech accelerator in the world, and we got 400K grant from the process. So we are
fantastic.
Almost, we have all the rocket fuel to go to the rest of Europe, and so yes, we have the possibility to grow quite quickly. Yeah,
that's fantastic news. Great. Tell me a little bit more. What would make it attractive? Why would make studies in an attractive investment for people who'd like to get in on this action in the EdTech sector?
Yes. Okay. So it's a bit multi-sided. So like as an investor, I spoke the last months with a lot of investors. What we see now more and more is investors are looking for also startups who make an impact. Now, one thing is what we really do is we truly make an impact by enabling students who normally would never study abroad to enrich their lives in that regards. So that's one of the things. But the cool thing about this impact startup, because sometimes impact startup have difficulties growing, our business model is so robust in that regard. Meaning we are able now to grow every year. So since we started, 200%. And I'm almost certain that we are able to do this for the coming years, at least the coming 3 years. So with your investment, as it looks now, next year or in a year and a half, we will go to Series A, as that's called, and then the true valuation of the company will be set. But most likely in that short period, you are able to double or triple your money already. So that is excited. So summary, you are investing in an impact startup, but still you are able to multiply your money, and also you're investing in a good course, because there are no competitors who do what we do so far in Europe. And then I'm focusing on the public university element. And I think this is going to be something really hot.
Fantastic. Yeah, I was going to ask you because I don't know anybody who does what you do. That doesn't mean that there aren't any. I just don't know them. And now I guess you've clarified there's nobody doing, you have no specific competitors that are operating in Spain or around the world.
No, so like the interesting thing is, and I understand it as well. So in Spain, we have no one who does what we do, meaning focusing on public and private. In the rest of Europe, also not. The reason why is because all competitors only focus on private universities. We offer private as well, but we offer all universities. So we really can make the unbiased and best decision for the student. And the reason why all competitors focus on private is because that is the standardized part of the market, meaning that is exactly the market which is easily to conquer. And also, of course, where the easy money is, because universities most of the time, especially the business school where I went, the EU business school, they make a lot of money and they care less about their quality of education. So what they do is they reward the agents who send them the leads, and then they care less about the reviews. And like that, this system is a little bit broken, and that is also what we want to fix in that regard. So to summarize, no one is focusing on public so far because it's too difficult and unstandardized.
Okay, and then where do you look for clients? Are you looking within the EU or outside of the EU and Asia, Africa, Latin America, or US?
So our preferred market so far is like back in the day, we focused on any market, but we found out it's quite difficult to help everyone, especially if you consider that some visas are certainly impossible to get. So our ideal clients right now are Americans. Like
Okay.
we love to work with Americans. They understand, they understand what we can offer. They also are highly interested in Europe in general, and yeah, they're just amazing to work with. I love them. It's great. But we are also lately focusing a lot on Europeans, because what we see is like, yes, a visa process is important as well, but Europeans have the same problem, what to study. And for a European to get into a public university in Spain, it's still not so straightforward. So maybe we can look also closer by us. So that is where we're now going to focus on, and it works really well.
Okay. Now, one of the things, something is kind of hitting my head. Are you talking about a study abroad for a short semester, or are you talking about study abroad for your entire degree?
Good question. No, we are, as a Studies In, only focuses on higher education. Meaning we help with, for example, short courses to prepare for the university intake. That could be language courses, but our core business is bachelor's and master degrees and MBAs.
Okay, so not a short stint, like a one semester or a year-long program. You're doing the whole, like a degree-focused program. Okay, good.
No. So the exchanges we don't really do yet, because there are a lot of Erasmus. So there are a lot of public platforms already who do that. And also we believe that, especially with, if you invest, imagine you send your child for 4 years to another country and you make a wrong decision. It's so important to add with a systematic approach to make a confident decision. So therefore we're focusing for now on this particular segment.
I see. Completely understood. Makes a lot of sense. All right, and so what is your long-term vision then for Studies In, both as a platform as well as a company?
Yeah, so what we're now going to do is coming 1.5 years, we want to roll out 2 more markets. So that will be Germany and Holland. If we solidify that fully, then like our goal is to become, in the next 5 years, the go-to study abroad portal for Europe. Meaning, like Europe is great, of course, but if you compare it with the US, there are so many fragmented small countries, and in every country you have a different education system. And what we want to do is actually somehow connect those, because then if you can easily, for example, make a transfer from a university in Barcelona to a university in Italy or anywhere else in Europe, that's going to benefit the students so much more. And currently those systems are not connected. It's like a little bit similar as, for example, with our railroads. It's so difficult now in Europe to build a proper train rail. And why? Because of all the countries have different connections. And they're now trying to connect all that, but it costs time, money, and a lot of bureaucracy. And we want to solve that. So we want to become the study abroad portal for Europe. That's the goal.
Fantastic. And do not derail students' efforts in getting their degree in another country.
Exactly. It needs to be one line to Europe, and then we distribute them to the right train station.
Excellent. Love the metaphor. Well, I don't have any other questions for now. I do see that what you guys are doing with my target audience, we get a lot of Americans reading our newsletters as well as our website in the United States. Particularly, there's like 5 or 6 major cities. It's a bi-coastal approach: San Francisco, LA, New York, Boston, Philly, Miami, and Chicago. From these like 6, 7 cities, these are where most of Americans who come to Barcelona, for example, this is where they come from. And so we've been making a pretty strong inroad to making sure that we're in those markets. And so maybe we can chat about, if there's some synergies that we can work on to bring some people from that are reading and watching what we're doing here at Metropolitan, and direct them towards Studies In, because I think you guys offer a fantastic value. And right now, with the as you mentioned, the price of education in the United States being so insane, that you guys have a tremendous opportunity there for people who want to take advantage and get a great education at a fantastic price with a different experience, international experience. So anyhow,
Yes.
I can sell your company all day long.
Great. That would be great, though. Like it's really interesting. Last thing what I say, Victor, is, so I forgot to say one thing about my MBA. So in the end, I finished my MBA. Besides the fact that some people didn't spoke English, we found out in the end that it was not fully accredited. And that was the main reason why we started this. Like, it was just, we found out that it was not accredited. And like what we do, we only work with fully accredited universities. So if a student comes to us and he says like, okay, I want to obtain my degree, but in the end I want to become a lawyer in the US, no problem. We're going to look at the specific degree and the accreditation you need. And like that, you know for a fact when you come back that you can deploy and use your courses. And that's the biggest fear for parents, of course. Because imagine you send your child for 4 years to another country, he comes back, and then the degree doesn't fit with what you want to achieve in the future. So in that sense, Americans, come here, we will find the perfect degree, and it will fit on your future aspirations. No worry.
Lekker, lekker.
Lekker, zeker lekker.
All right, well, thank you so much, Rodin, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. And let's chat about how maybe Metropolitan can help you get more Americans coming to learning about studies in.
Thank you so much, Victor. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.